DJ Event Planner will change the way you manage and run your business. Streamline all of your procedures and software into one easy-to-manage system. DJ Event Planner, the ultimate online planning tool.
Good evening and welcome to tonight's show. We are doing an industry interview show tonight. Yes, that's what we'll call it. I've got a special guest with me tonight. Mike Michalowicz from, you guys might know him from Profit First, is with me tonight. Michael, good evening.
John, good evening to you, sir.
We just finished up doing a little segment with some tips and such for the small business owners, DJs out there, and that's part of our convention series. And now we're going to talk about your newest venture, because we, again, know you from the Profit First arena. Jason's done some teaching on that and some coaching, beautiful stuff. I've done numerous aspects of it myself, although not as much as Jason would like to see me do, but that's another story for another day. Tonight we're talking about Clockwork, which is your latest book.
Yeah, so that just came out, August 21st, so about a week ago.
Yeah.
And, we were talking in the last segment about that Maslow's hierarchy of needs. As businesses grow, and even as solopreneurs, one of the most valuable resources that gets depleted the fastest is actually our time. I mean, money is part of it, but time. So Clockwork, the subtitle is Design Your Business to Run Itself. I spent about 6 years researching it. Unfortunately, halfway through, I read the manuscript I prepared at that point, had to throw the whole thing out, which is painful to do because I was running through. So what happens is I start off with a hypothesis. I start testing it. I start writing it. I then roll it out to myself, and other companies start using it. And if it doesn't work consistently, we throw it out. And one of the groups it didn't work for was creatives.
Okay.
Considered DJ, and it fell apart. So I had to revisit the thing, rebuild the structure from the ground up, taking the best parts and leaving them and starting new. And then we found that Clockwork, as it is today, works for all businesses, including creatives. And that's when I went into full writing mode and released it last week.
So let's kind of be the person that Clockwork is kind of designed for. If we're going to be talking about our ideal reader, who is the person that can benefit from Clockwork?
Well, it's someone who wants and is committed to having a business that runs independently of them. Now, this is a throttle process. There's a very famous book. It's a must-read called E-Myth by a guy named Michael Gerber. I'm sure you've heard of it. You've probably read it.
Yes.
And so Michael Gerber and I did a keynote together, not simultaneously, back-to-back in Mexico. It was about 4 years ago. And I sat him down and I said, Michael, I love the E-Myth. I'm writing my own book. And I have a challenge that I see readers have when they read E-Myth. Everyone understands, don't work in the business, work on the business. That's the
huge.
It's beautiful, huge. I said, the one problem I see is many of us, including myself, was consuming it, that it was a switch. Like one day I'll wake up and I'll be working on the business. If that one big client comes on board, or an investor, or I just make those miraculous hires, that one day I'm not DJing, I'm running a DJ business. And so I think that's the problem. It's not a switch over, it's a throttle. And we explored that. And what I wrote in Clockwork is how to throttle ourselves over. I believe that we have a relationship with our business that's kind of like a conjoined twins. As the business goes, so does our lives, and vice versa. And therefore, the separation is a very surgical and methodical process. So I wrote Clockwork to slowly and persistently disconnect ourselves from the business, where the business now runs independently of us. It always shares our soul but it can run and stand independently of us. It's a throttle process. And I think for many businesses, it's a year and a half, 2 years out. So back to your question, this is written for the person who wants to be owning a business and not working in a business.
So it could work for in the service industry, such as entertainment in this arena. Will it work for other businesses if you're talking maybe like a small retail situation?
Yeah, so it does. So we've rolled it out. I mean, I know the book just came out, but we started rolling it out as a process about 2 years ago, and have run workshops, public workshops, starting about 6 months ago. So we have it in, I don't know, 60, 70 businesses right now. Accounting, bakery. There's a bakery doing very well with this. Retail shops, a painter, photographer, I should say. So it's in a mix of businesses. As your business grows, we get actually faster momentum. So as we bring on more people, but even if you're a solopreneur, you can start this process and start peeling yourself out and establishing the foundational components that will ultimately free you from the business.
Well, you mentioned foundational components. Let's kind of touch on those just a little bit so a person has kind of a grasp of what you're covering in the book.
So the big one is that we need to start off with is the understanding of the 4 Ds. And the 4 Ds represent the stages a business goes through. It's also the mix of what a business must do. I'm not trying to make this like, I'm not trying to leave you a cliffhanger here. I'm just trying to set the platform.
Yep.
But the 4 Ds is what a business must do, but it's also the entrepreneur, something that we must navigate up. So here's what they are. The first D is doing. Every business must be doing an activity that generates a benefit for the customer, or doing an activity that supports the activity of generating a benefit for the customer. This is delivering the music or hauling the gear over. All those activities support benefits to the customer. Even the invoicing, collections, it's all part of the transaction. That's the doing. The next level up is called deciding. Deciding is what the early stage businesses actually devote a lot of time to and can be a trap. Deciding is where you hire that assistant or help. Maybe you decide, I want to get some of this administrative stuff off my plate. I hire an administrator. I tell them to invoice for me. They come back 30 seconds later and say, do I invoice people in their last name or first name? Like, how do I sort it? And I make a decision. That's the deciding phase. They come back 30 seconds later with the next question. Do we bill for the project and the equipment separate, or how's this work? And we decide for them. Every time we're making decisions, of course, we're distracted from what we're doing, but it navigates that employee of ours to an outcome. So we keep on deciding. Well, there's a Hindu goddess. Her name is Kali, and Kali is the one head with the multiple arms, like the 8 arms.
Sure, yeah.
And that's what you know that picture?
Oh, yeah, certainly.
Okay. Yeah, so that's what we become. We become this one head for our organization with all these moving parts, and it's really frustrating and very hard to manage. So some of us, and this is the trap of many organizations, is we revert back to just doing it. It's like,
sure,
everyone sucks. I'm just going to DJ. I can make more money.
Yeah.
Right. And it's great for about 2 weeks. And then you have that one more gig that lasts through the night. And you're like, I'm exhausted. I can't keep this up. And we start this flip flop. To get out of that deciding phase, we have to move up to the next level of D, which is delegation. And there's a subtle but extraordinary difference between delegating and deciding. Deciding is where I give a task to you or you to me, and it's task rabbiting. Anytime you have a question, you come to me. Delegation is where I assign you the outcome. I say, listen, we need to ensure that our clients are billed accurately and timely. That's the outcome for invoicing.
Right.
Here, we have a best practice to do it. Here's our best practice. But your responsibility, John, as my employee, is anytime you have a question about it, your job is to figure it out yourself. I hired you for what's on your shoulders, that head of yours. You need to make decisions what you feel is in the best interest of our organization. So that's what delegation is. Now, here's the key to successfully delegating is when you make decisions, regardless of the type of decisions that employee makes, you, the entrepreneur, has to support it, even if they make bad decisions. If they start invoicing in a way that's bad, they choose, I don't know what they do, but they do something that's wrong. The natural tendency is to say, you screwed it up, you ruined it. No,
Yep.
You have to say, you know what, that's not the outcome we wanted, but I want to first acknowledge the fact you made a decision that you felt was in the best interest of our company. Good job. That's why I hired you. Keep doing that. Now, let's go fix this. Your job is to fix it. Find a better way of going about it, but keep going. Keep making decisions. I'm proud of you.
Mm-hmm.
That's when they make a bad decision. We got to say that. That's the hardest part. And most entrepreneurs fail at that, and it reverts all the way back to the doing phase. Final D is called designing. And designing is where we have a vision for our business. Where do you want to take your organization? What's that DJ company look like? Clarity. And listen, we already did this. The day before you started your business, that day before you opened the doors, that final day, the dream was so big. It was so beautiful. It was so clear. Then the doors open. It's like, where's the customers? Oh my God, we got to sell anything to anybody. And we start living in the panic. We need to start thinking about that vision again. But as importantly as having clarity on that vision, we need to start making tactical and strategic decisions to orchestrate our resources to get us there. What people do we have? Maybe it's just virtual help. Maybe it's your mom and dad. I don't know. Whatever resources you have, the tools and software you have, how do you choreograph that, organize it so that it starts moving you consistently toward that vision you have? That's the most important work a entrepreneur can do of any type of business. And sadly, most entrepreneurs who struggle don't focus on the design work they're usually doing and deciding.
So is that a progression going from point to point to point in that?
Oh, yeah.
So okay. So I was just thinking.
It's not like tomorrow you wake up and say, I'm just going to sit there and be the thinker. You know?
I was just going to say, it's like, there's got to be a progression because some people may not be able to go from point A to point B immediately.
It's a throttle, right? That's why I talk about Michael Gerber. A lot of us think it's a flip that's going to happen one day. No, it's a throttle. So we're going to slowly peel ourselves out from doing work. You're still going to be doing, but we're going to peel you out as we replace those resources, and you're going to move you more and more to the higher intellectual stuff, the organization, that choreographed dance, if you will, of our resources.
Very nice. Very nice. So we've got that. You mentioned when we were talking a little bit earlier about the queen bee role.
Yeah.
That doesn't sound like a business thing to me. I'm just going to say it.
It doesn't sound like it, but it is. So I was, when I wrote this book, I interviewed 75 different businesses for consideration of this book. And what I was doing was trying to find the common thread of organizational efficiency.
Sure.
And I interviewed organizations of 1 and organizations of 1,000 and quite a few in between. I ultimately, in the book, included about 20 companies. But what I found was I couldn't find initially a common thread between these companies. They had achieved organizational efficiency, but they had all their own approach and definition to it. I then kind of peeled back a little bit further and by happenstance discovered beehives. Beehives happen to be extremely efficient, extremely well organized, very low consumption of energy, yet they can make these massive hives. Like you see a bee flying around your window in the morning, at night there's like this hornet's nest there. How do they do it? They follow a 2-rule process. They know that the QBR, the queen bee role, there's a core function for the organization of beehives, which is laying eggs. And if eggs are being laid, the hive will thrive and survive. If eggs are not being laid, the hive is in jeopardy because bees live for a short period of time. So every bee knows egg production matters most. Protect the one serving it, which happens to be the queen bee, and do whatever it helps to facilitate that and make it work properly. Now, here's the thing. People hear that and they say, well, that means the queen bee is most important. Not true. The queen bee is serving the most important role, the queen bee role, but the queen bee is expendable just like any other bee. If she's failing to produce, she's done. They're out. She's out of there and they spawn a new bee. If she's ill, done. New bee. So the most important role is the laying of eggs. It happens to be the queen bee supports it. Well, and then by the way, the second rule these bees have is once that's being protected, they go on and do their primary work. Every organization has a queen bee role. It's the one critical function the business hinges its success on. Here's a great example of a name that we all recognize, FedEx. FedEx has a brand promise. And in the last video we just did, we're talking about like what makes you different. A brand promise is the one thing that you stand on. It's the big commitment you have to customers over everybody else. And FedEx says, if your package absolutely positively needs to be delivered tomorrow morning or whatever, we'll make it happen.
Yes.
That's the promise. If we peel back the onion just one layer, we ask ourselves, what's the one key function that makes that promise a reality? What's the one key activity, which is logistics?
Yes.
So for FedEx, if package movement matters, and everything is done to protect that. If FedEx says, you know what, screw logistics, let's get into the happy customer business. Let's just have a great customer service. And who cares if packages get delivered on time? They'll be out of business overnight.
Yeah.
But if package delivery is threatened, they know that. So they if package delivery is threatened, they start backing it up. And every year it gets threatened. It's called the holiday season. Holiday season comes, they get overwhelmed with packages. What do? The other bees in the colony, managers, everyone starts manning trucks. Bone this up. We're not going to start yelling at drivers to work harder. We're going to protect them, and we're going to get more manpower out there through our managers. In your DJ business, you have to first know what is your brand promise. And sadly, a lot of people, I'm not saying people watching now, but a lot of people don't know what their brand promise is. What's the one thing you're known for? Is it having the loudest music? We talked about that extreme example. Is it having the most engaging music? Are you just the most intimate with your participants? Like, you really get to know people and get them feeling intimate and connected. What's that one promise? Then we peel back the onion and say, what's the one activity that most supports it? Yes, you still have to do tons of things, but what's the one greatest activity? That activity needs to be protected at all costs. If you want, I can give you one more example.
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
Baseball teams. Just drives home. There's a million baseball teams out there. Baseball, quite frankly, is pretty boring, right? I mean, that sport has a challenge. Well, there's one baseball team who realized, you know what, we're going to redefine. Instead of being the winningest most team, which all teams are fighting for, we're going to be doing something totally different. Our promise is going to be the most entertaining team. The team's called the Savannah Bananas. You got to Google them. Google the Savannah Bananas. They are the only baseball team in majors, all-stars, and minors of all leagues that have sold out for 3 consecutive seasons, meaning every single seat is packed, every single seat for every single game. They focus on entertainment. Well, that's their brand promise. If you go to a Savannah Bananas baseball game, you'll be entertained. Peel back the onion. What's the one thing that does it? Every week, this team, they have a team meeting, not the players, but the management, and say, what's the most fun things we can do? They said, this is like two or 3 weeks ago, they said, you know what? We're going to have every single player wear a kilt. We're going to be the first baseball team to play games in kilts. They got on ESPN. The week before that, they said, we're going to do the banana in the pants routine, where people, audience members, run up to the top bleachers, which is way up, throw bananas off the bleachers, and the baseball players will wear balloon pants and catch it. They have constant stream of entertainment and activity. It is the most fun you'll ever have at a baseball game. Again, know your brand promise. How are you distinguishing yourself in the market? Peel the onion back one layer. That's what your survivability and thrivability is. That's the QBR. Protect it, serve it, elevate it.
That's very interesting. I guess I hadn't thought of that concept and such. Let's see.
Jason Spencer is a Savannah Bananas fan, and also an Eminem fan with his Slim Shady comment there.
Yes, I saw him.
Yeah.
We were talking. Yeah, that's another.
Slim Shady.
Let's see. So we wanted to. There was another area in which we wanted to talk about. I don't want to get to the 4-week vacation yet, because that's at the end. A lot of what Clockwork seems to be is building into a kind of a system. And such. So let's kind of talk a little bit about the system. You mentioned, of course, that you've interviewed a lot of the different companies, and there were some similarities about that. The system, when we look at it, define it for ourselves. What's the time frame of implementing it, and what's involved with it? I mean, are we going to be putting more hours in to do something like this, or what?
Great question. So a lot of businesses historically develop SOPs, standard operating procedures, checklists, and so forth. And in my research, what I found is those documents are becoming less and less effective in modern times. A couple of reasons. One is the attention span of the consumer is less and less, and that means our employees are less and less. So we give them a document like this, read through this, and run our business off of this. It's not mind-numbing. Our attention spans, the owners, is decreased. Sitting down and trying to plug out and type out a SOP is becoming more and more daunting. But the real kind of detriment to standard operating procedures is if I write something about some software we use or some technology we use, technology is being updated at such a rapid rate now. Literally, and this is true, I wrote an SOPs about 5 years ago. As I was writing Clockwork, we started testing it. I write an SOP for shipping. We give it to one of our colleagues and say, okay, here's a really simple SOP. Let's see how this works. And the same day, USPS, the Postal Service, updated their website and changed the whole site. The SOP was irrelevant. It's like, oh my God. Here's the better process. Instead of writing SOPs, checklists, and so forth, we encourage people to capture systems. And what I mean is, as you do an activity, use some kind of capturing software. Like if it's on a computer, you can use screen capture software. Capture it in the process as you do it and do a voiceover to explain, here's what I'm doing. Give that video to your employee, have them follow the process then. The beautiful thing is it's highly efficient because you're actually doing the work while you record it.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I realize that not everything's on the computer. I mean, it may be an action. You may be stacking your gear and stuff like that and want to show how to do that. That's when you pull out the smartphone you have and you're videotaping it and saying, here's how we stack stuff. Then you give it to your help, your assistant, whoever's going to be taking on this responsibility, have them follow verbatim. That's their reference sheet. The ultimate test, though, is once they've done it a few times, you tell them, now you make the next video. Because ultimately, the best student is the teacher.
Yes.
So we want our person that's doing the work teaching the work, because then we know they've mastered the work.
Yeah, getting back to the parenting, and that's once you have the children where they can start teaching the other children how to do things. We've arrived, and it's such a valuable thing. We've got a few more minutes. We can talk about. I want to hit about the team a little bit that a person would be utilizing in moving some of these, delegating, what have you, and then we're going to talk about the 4-week vacation. So let's talk a little bit about how you implement or bring a team together to take some of these loads off your shoulders.
Yeah, so this is a balancing of the team, and what I found is most of us balance people's traits to their titles. So maybe I need to hire a receptionist, I say, right? Okay. That's the title. I then say, well, the receptionist needs to be really friendly on the phone. They need to do some data entry. They need to be a good greeter and help people when they come to our office or an event or whatever. And we define all these different traits that a receptionist has, and we try to look at the employee and say who matches up best with this. What I found in balancing teams, we should not match a person's traits to a title. We should match their traits to the tasks, a smaller level. Here's an example, and it happened in our own office. We hired someone who's an extraordinary receptionist in the respect that she's great on the phone and she's very warm and greeting when you visit our office. Mm-hmm. She is horrible at the data side that our receptionist needs to do, data entry and stuff, like horrible. But she's such a good greeter. I've never seen someone that's so good. Well, we looked at our sales role and said, wow, if we could get her in some of the sales things, when a new inquiry comes in, she can kind of introduce them to what we're all about on the phone and explain us, and then transfer them to the salesperson to get into the detail of the financial arrangement and see if it's a fit.
Sure.
So instead of her being a receptionist anymore, she is, she gives good phone. Mm-hmm. So she is doing the phone component and she's playing across multiple roles. A traditional business structure is very kind of pyramid-like. You got the president and the subs and so forth. Our organization and organizations that balance teams are very web-like. You're matching the best people, the best talents, and a web structure is a stronger structure than this kind of pyramid thing.
So as you're finding people and you're finding their talents and trying to put them into the best spots for their talent, is this something that is as the boss, it's your job, or do you have a team that helps how do you identify that and do that without becoming a full-time job itself?
So I as the boss do it, but what we do is the receptionist role, for example, mm-hmm. What we did is we wrote down on sticky notes, here's the 10 things that a receptionist needs to do. Answer the phone, greet walking guests in, do some light bookkeeping, blah, 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 blah. We wrote it all down. Then we said, if they can't do all 10, they can only do half these things. Which half is the most important? So we took away half the sticky notes. We didn't throw them out. We just stuck them on the side. And we started going through this deductive logic, getting down to saying, if she only could do, or he only do one thing in this role, what would that one thing be? And we said, well, there's a lot of phone calls coming in. They got to give good phone. Like, it's got to be an extraordinary person mm-hmm. on the phone. We said, that's the key trait. And then we looked for these other traits and we said, wow, in the sales capacity, this trait is also needed. And we started matching this up, and we had all these different sticky notes where phone was very important.
Right.
And we put them, that person through that thread. So that's how we did it. We identified what the most important trait is. We didn't delete the other traits. We knew they had to be addressed. But for the receptionist, we said, as long as we have someone that has great on the phone, that's the 80%er. And now let's see where we can use that person to fill in these other traits that we peeled off. And they didn't happen to be in the receptionist category. For us, they happen to be in sales.
And I think even in the DJ business, as a person is kind of growing their business, there's times that they find someone and they hire them to be a DJ, and they find out that they might have the interpersonal skills that would work better for a different spot. Might be a salesperson. It might be someone who would be better as a front desk person in your office. That identifying them and going where their strengths are, I think, is something so overlooked in most small businesses.
So overlooked. Yeah. Hire a person and observe the person. So it's when we actually look for where they're good, it's amazing how it reveals themselves. I think most of us look for where the employee's bad. Right? God, they can't get this down. Let me try to fix that. Don't do that. Don't do that. Observe your employees and see where they're naturally good. Where's their natural curiosity? One of the stories I put in Clockwork is about this woman, Bree. she worked for an accounting firm, and she was hired as a bookkeeper. And she was marginal at the best. But they noticed just occasionally she would be hopping on the phone to answer some technical questions for a prospect and like closing down deals. And then the epiphany came about, like, oh my God, she's really good at explaining our solutions, just not good at providing the solution.
Sure.
So she became the front man. She's their salesperson, and she's so good. Sadly, I think a lot of organizations would say, she's a marginal bookkeeper, let's fire her.
Right.
That's the mistake we make. Look for what's best in your people and match it up with where you can apply that skill, and they will take off in many cases.
Yeah. Well, before we wrap things up here, down in the down in the description of this video, we have the links. There's a couple of different links. There's the clockwork.life link, which is where the book is, and people can find out. Now, you said there were some other resources on that page. Kind of give us a little bit, and then we'll get to the 4-week vacation.
Yeah.
What are they going to find out at clockwork.life?
Yeah. So what I found is when I get buy some electronics or something, it comes with that big instruction manual, the book, and they often come with the quick start guide, right? Like the one page, how to get my computer set up real quickly. So at clockwork.life, I set up a quick start guide. It's literally a one pager to start your business on Clockwork.
Nice.
The book will help, but it can actually jump in front of the book and at least get you started without even buying the book. I hope you do. Then there's resources for your colleagues. So if you have an employee or virtual help or whatever, get them into it. The thing is, as the business becomes more independent of you, the employees or colleagues, the other people you have working in the business, whatever capacity, they all have to step up. So it's an empowerment process. So we want to get them involved in the process quickly because they're being empowered and can elevate the game as you elevate to the design level. So that's all available at clockwork.life, and it's all totally free.
And then the other website, they can go to Mike Motorbike, which is the easy to remember, MikeMotorbike.com. And what would they find on that website?
Yeah, so that's my website. So I'm a blogger, I'm a podcaster. I have all my books up there, free chapters. If you really want to explore all parts of business, that's my life's passion, small business. And I write and have tons of resources up there for all aspects of business outside just Clockwork alone.
Very nice. So those resources, the links and such are down in the description. The last part of the book, when we've gone through the process and we've gone through the thought and such, we get to the point where you're saying that the last important part is a 4-week vacation. Yeah,
right. Sounds outrageous.
It sounds crazy. I mean, as a person who is the head cook and bottle washer, it's like, yeah, in what lifetime?
Yeah, exactly. That's never going to happen, right?
Yeah, right.
But isn't that why we started a business? Didn't we start in a business in part to do what we love, but also to give us the freedom to do what we want?
The flexibility. And it's like, where did that go?
Where'd that go? And that goes right out the window. And so the outrageous suggestion I have, which is not outrageous, is that everyone watching here declares a 4-week vacation. Now, a couple of caveats. I'm not saying like tomorrow morning you're going on vacation and everything's la-di-da-di. I'm saying a year or two out from now, we declare it. And what I'm saying is this is a full disconnect, a digital disconnect, a physical disconnect. And we need to then, and we'll experience it. Your mind will shift and say, oh my God, if I'm going away for 4 weeks, how's this business still going to operate?
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not DJing. Can other people DJ? I'm not taking any of the sales calls. How am I going to do this? So a little bit of panic may ensue, but then we're going to start building toward it. We're step by step. And in the Clockwork, I outline literally month by month what you need to achieve to get to that 4-week vacation. In the process, we're going to start thinking about putting the right resources in the right positions, getting maybe some virtual help in here and there, maybe getting that next DJ. We're also going to take small tests. We're going to go away for 1 week, see how that week went. Because if you're away for a week and there's problems, at least you're back 5 or 6 days later or 7 days later, and we can fix things. Then we're going to go to a 2-week vacation. We're going to get there and try it. And then we're going to go all the way to this 4-week vacation. The best thing is one of the people I featured in the book was just about to take the vacation. But when she left, the book had already been in the publishing process. She returned. There's a blog now. Her name is Cindy Thomas. And so if you Google 4-week vacation, Cindy, spelled CYNDI, she reported back the epiphany she had. Her business, now she's in the accounting space. She used to be the sole bookkeeper. The business now ran without her. When she came back, she surveyed her team, which is all part-timers, no full-timers, part-timers. And she said, now I'm back. What do you think? And he said, our only fear is that you'll actually start reinserting yourself in a way that slows us down. We've got this. And we're excited. And Cindy got chills, and she said, "This is exactly what I wanted."
Yeah.
And she's elevated now. She's hiring more people. She's working on such a strategic level, and she's no longer in the doing phase in the business. She's totally about designing and delegating.
Wow, that would be fun.
And I think everyone can do it. You just got to commit to it.
And you said that they go out and search for a 4-week vacation and Cindy with a Y.
Yeah, C-Y-N-D-Y. And you can see pictures. She went to Hawaii and did stuff. And the thing is, like, it's not like about the vacation. Like, you don't have to go on this extravagant, expensive vacation. I just want you to disconnect.
That's a big part. Disconnect.
Okay, because if you don't do it, it's going to be forced on you one day. The day you're sick, the day you get rushed to the hospital, the day you just can't work any longer, does your business just fold?
Yeah.
Sadly, that's the reality.
Mm-hmm.
We age out, or sadly, some people get emergencies. No. We need to invoke that process now. So the day that we do age out of this, we can't work any longer or whatever, business can continue. And that's a very valuable business. That's an acquirable business.
And that's ultimately a great place to be, because then you have that value that you can sell the business and go on to the next thing. If you,
I found my purpose and passion. If I've sold some businesses, it's a good feeling to sell your businesses. And now with my current business, I'm so in my purpose. I don't want to sell it, but we've already been approached by people wanting to buy it, which is the best position to be in.
Yeah. Always gives you a good feeling that knowing that you're on
there's
pace.
An outside world that wants it.
Yeah, for sure. Mike, we're gonna jump here. Thank you very much for being on tonight with both segments.
Thank you.
Great stuff. We'll put, again, those links are down in the description below, so you guys can go check those out. On both. I'll have to make sure it's on Facebook, but yeah, it's out here on YouTube. You guys can check that out. And if you have any questions, you should be able to. There's contact information and such on the website at MikeMotorbike.com.
Yeah, I nailed it.
There we go. Just trying to. My son has a variation of that as his nickname also. So that's must be a common thing. But so yeah, you guys can go check that out. And if you have any questions, reach out to Mike and his team, and they'll take care of you. Once again, Mike, thank you for being on tonight.
My pleasure, everyone. Crush it.
All right. Good night, everybody.
Good night.